Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Cosplay Guild. Paying for costumes alone can already be pricey, but there's a lot of hidden fees that come along with the joy of cosplay. This video is here to shed some light on what cosplay really costs, so you don't run out of funds halfway through your convention. So let's get into it. We should start with the upfront cost of cosplay. A pre-built cosplay can start you somewhere between $30 to $150, depending on whether or not you catch it on sale. Some cosplays can cost as high as $300 or even more, just depending on the complexity of the costume. But the truth is, you rarely pay sticker price. You'll likely have to deal with extra fees like custom sizing, upgraded materials, and shipping costs. And with how fast things add up, after paying for your third $200 cosplay, you may want to start thinking about making some of your costumes yourself. But when you're building a cosplay for the first time, you're essentially building a prototype. The upfront cost of a DIY cosplay can inflate wildly depending on accuracy, complexity, and how much work you're willing to put into it. If you don't already have them, you may need to buy tools like a heat gun, a Dremel, or a sewing machine just to get you started. Then you'll still need materials like foam, glue, and fabric. And then there's still the biggest cost nobody talks about enough: time. Time out of your day that you're willing to dedicate to getting this project done. I spent time just this year building a pair of horns for a Loki cosplay, only to realize that the lines were for matching up and not for cutting. So I ended up making a pair of horns that just didn't work and they just caved in on themselves. Luckily, a friend of mine was able to 3D print me a pair in the last moments before the con, but that's exactly my point. That's still time and materials I can't get back. So aside from the learning benefits gained from making your own costume, sometimes you really can spend more building a cosplay instead of just buying it whole. Now, in today's digital age, I'm sure everyone is familiar with shipping costs. Cheap, inexpensive cosplays can find their price doubling by the time you check out. Before settling on a cosplay, double check the shipping cost so the deal in front of you doesn't turn out too good to be true. I've seen cosplays that were $30 cheaper than market value with a $60 shipping. I don't think just because you're paying that much for shipping, your package is going to be treated with first class care. Depending on whether it's domestic or international, your costume can take anywhere from a few weeks to a few months to actually arrive. Sizing charts are helpful because they let you compare your measurements to the available sizes. But if you don't fit neatly into one of those 6 to 8 standard sizes from a different country, expect to spend an extra $30 to $50 in custom sizing. Some websites may even charge extra for additional materials. And speaking of that, I strongly consider upgraded quality options if they're available. So many of my spider suits have come and gone after a couple of wears, but there's an All Might Zentai suit in my closet that I've had for decades with not so much as a tear in the heel. Now, once you actually have the costume, you're not completely out of the woods yet. Cosplays can take constant maintenance to keep them show ready. As you wear your cosplay, expect everything from a stitch slowly coming undone to a brand new Toji dagger getting broken in half because of a hug from the side. I don't want to talk about it. The point is, prepare to repair. Some of the most common breakpoints of your cosplay are going to be the armor straps, your seams, shoes, and props. Even while your cosplay is packed away, it's still susceptible to damage. Foam can be crushed, armor can get scratched, and paint can begin to crack. Sometimes the damage adds up to the point where you want to just scrap the cosplay entirely. So expect to spend a little extra on hot glue, Velcro, replacement pieces, and a few extra layers of paint if you want to get more than a few uses out of your cosplay. It doesn't even include losing a whole piece of your cosplay altogether. Keep track of accessories like gloves, jewelry, and decorative props. Because the only thing that hurts more than spending $30 on a very specific pair of biker gloves is having to spend $30 on that same pair twice. So just yeah. Now, if you're into cosplay, you're probably into the idea of going to conventions too. And conventions are their own category of hidden cost. When I started out in the early 2010s, convention tickets were about $20 to $50 for a 3-day con, and even the biggest conventions weren't more than $85 or so. Now it's easy to find a full weekend convention going for $100 or more for general admission. If we're talking VIP access, you could easily be spending into the thousands for perks like exclusive experiences, special lounges, or lifetime memberships. If you're going to a con and meet a specific celebrity, that's great. Just know that depending on the guest, you can expect long lines and booths where you'll pay $20 to $50 just to take a photo with them. I'm not bashing it at all. Creators have to make their money somehow. It just took me by surprise the first time I encountered it. Either way, just expect to spend more than what just your badge actually costs. And when you have your badge, don't lose it. If you're lucky, you'll recover it at the Lost and Found, but more than likely, you'll have to pay for a reprint fee or buy a new badge altogether. So keep your badge around your neck or attached to your everyday bag. So once you're talking about going to a convention for multiple days, there are so many costs that if you don't plan for them, they can absolutely decimate your budget before you even get a chance to put on your cosplay. When you're traveling to a convention, you have to consider everything that it costs just to get there, from your gas to toll fees. Check out how much the event parking costs in your area. Are we talking free overnight parking or $60 for just a few hours? Prices can vary wildly from city to city. If you're flying in, there's the ticket itself, but also be aware of airline luggage fees and extra charges for your larger props. There are real risks with transporting cosplays and props, so prepare your costume to take at least a little bit of a beating if you're going through customs or baggage handling. And then you still have to get from the airport to the hotel. Maybe a friend is picking you up, or maybe you're taking an Uber or Lyft. If it's a rideshare, keep a little extra room in your budget. Surge pricing in peak hours can turn a short ride into one of the biggest expenses of your weekend. And hotels. Hotels are a whole thing. I didn't have much experience booking hotels until I started going to conventions. Not only do you need to book months in advance to secure a room, but many conventions now have designated room blocks that can sell out in minutes. If you miss that window, expect higher prices as demand increases. And even if you have the covered cost for the hotel itself, remember that many hotels charge 1 or 2 nights for a deposit at check-in. Nothing starts off a great weekend quite like a surprise $500 charge that you may or may not see anytime soon. Have a food plan before you arrive. Personally, I like to stock up on easy-to-maintain groceries before even heading to the event. If that's not an option, expect overpriced convention food or DoorDash orders where the food is the smallest part of the bill. $30 for a chicken wrap may sound crazy until it's your only option at 10 p.m. If everything goes well, you'll have all your wig heads, safety pins, makeup, contact solutions, everything you need. But things don't always go according to plan. If you forget something, you'll find yourself 8 a.m. trying to figure out which is the least terrible makeup brush at your local pharmacy. But let's move past that. You're at the convention, you listen to everything I've said, and you got money in the bank to spend and have fun with. Keep track of how much that is as you enter the artist alley, because blacking out and going into a modest shopping spree can have you spending hundreds of dollars in just a few hours. By all means, have fun and support your local artists. Just don't spend tomorrow's rent on a Gojo body pillow today. Lastly, I want to touch on post-convention costs. You'll have the same travel expenses leaving the con as you did arriving, but also think about what you'll need to pay once you're home. Restyling wigs, dry cleaning cosplays, paying photographers if you didn't already for photo shoots, replacing broken pieces, and settling any costs you may have split with your friends along the way. Clear up debts and loose ends in the days following the con so you can start fresh for the next one. Cosplay is an incredibly fun hobby, but it doesn't always come cheap. Make a budget with a buffer to keep yourself safe. Know what you'll need to pay for ahead of time, and it'll be much easier to actually enjoy yourself once you're there. If you're getting into cosplay, start small. 1 or 2 outfits for a convention is plenty. And as you gain more experience, you'll be better suited to take on multi-day conventions with more costumes. Thank you everyone for tuning into the Cosplay Guild again. You can support us on Patreon. I would like to thank our first Patreon member, Lakale. It really means a lot by your support, and I hope everyone has a great day. See you next time.